Hello, 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 beautiful unicorns. Welcome back to our weekly live podcast, Heal the Unicorn, that we live stream into our Facebook group called Heal the Unicorn Emotional Healing and Spiritual Growth for Women. So, if you're not part of this fast growing community of like minded women who are on their journey to heal themselves and grow spiritual, then come check out, see if this is the right place that you're looking for. They can call home, that you can feel like you are part of the tribe. And if not, no hard feelings whatsoever. Keep looking for a place that feels right on the journey that you are currently on. And as always, your loyal hosts, Anna Angelova.
Hey everyone, welcome to February. The long month of January is over, and once January is over, it's already Christmas. So, my name is Anna Angelova, and I am an energy leadership coach with Empath Unicorn Academy, where we help women create a life full of abundance. And I am a co host of this amazing podcast as well.
Awesome. Thank you for the amazing intro. And myself, Yana Kasperczak. I'm here as your certified professional performance coach and spiritual awakening coach. And my soul's purpose is to help women, to help you get your shit together so you can break free from that mental prison you find yourself in and build a life and a business and or career that you are obsessed with. And my words are mixing up today because I got a headache from the exercise that I did yesterday, some weightlifting. So it's, I can feel the aches and pains in my shoulders and the neck, and it's pressuring into my brain. So my brain is not fully braining today. So just an FYI to get that out of the way, so you don't you don't question, has she had her coffee yet? Because I did have my coffee, so we're all
Or
good
more
there.
like, has she had something like stronger than coffee?
I know, right? My husband and I were just having a conversation. He was talking about this podcast he was listening to, and this guy apparently was he was drinking while they were doing a podcast, and the more he drank, the more off the rocker he seemed. So there's no drinking here, but it's funny that this was just a conversation we were having, and then here I am stumbling over my words because of my headache. And so, anyways, that's out. Out of my mouth into your ears. We got that out of the way. Now let's talk about the real reason why we're here and the topic that we wanted to bring to you all and talk about and hear your thoughts and your feelings and your experiences with today's topic. And that is aligning with universal energy, living in the flow. I know for some of you, this sounds and feels like it's so far outside of your realm of conscious awareness right now, and it might feel like it's not possible, but we're going to be here reminding you of just how possible it is and how you are already living in the flow and experiencing the flow, maybe not every single day, but at least once, twice, three, four, five, or six times a week, if not every day, right? Just take one day out of the week where you can say, not every day, but, and then how you can get to a place in your life where you are living in the flow most of the days. Because you know me, I'm an honest person, and I'm not here to make these promises that you are going to be living in the flow every single day of your life. It's just not 100% feasible because there's going to be days where you need to recharge. You need to rebalance yourself, where you're going to be learning some things and you might not consciously think you're in the flow, even though you might actually be in the flow by continuing on the journey that you are on, continue healing, continuing growing spiritually. But once in a while, you will find yourself learning new things and you're learning new lessons and going into the lower energy levels so that way you can climb back up to the highest of them all energy levels, which is living in the flow, which is what we're going to be talking about today, level 7 and level 6 a bit. So I think I already shared a little bit than enough to start us off. Anna, you can continue the conversation or begin the conversation, whatever comes to mind for you.
Oh, you started in a very good way, actually. And this is one of the things I also wanted to mention that aligning with universal energy, living in the flow. No, it's not every single day. It's not every single moment. It's not like we live in flow and resonating. This is one of the things when you think about the energy levels that we've been discussing. Last week we talked about level 5. Like when you think about the energy levels, ultimately resonating at the highest level, like level 7, all the time, we would disappear. Like we would turn into pure energy. So it is for some of us, like, even for me, this concept, like thinking about um, aligning with the universal energy and thinking about like oh being in flow and experience all these things, being the creator, right? Like even for me, I'm a very logical person, so even for me, this was such a weird concept. Like okay, it sounds like I've never experienced it, right? Like it sounds so far away, so unattainable. But then I think the flow, like being in flow, was the part that I'm like, oh, I know what they mean. And like one of the ways to recognize it, because Yana, you were saying that we all experience it. We
Mhm.
might not realize it, we might not be aware, but we all experience it. And one of the ways to know when you're in the flow, it's when time flies, like when you are doing something, like, and it can be work, right? You can be at work, focused on a task you have, where you're like fully present, you're doing the work, you're completely engaged with whatever you're doing, and suddenly it's time for lunch. Suddenly, oh, it's 5 o'clock, like it's the end of the workday. Or it can be when you're playing with your kids or when you're doing something like yoga, meditation, all these kind of things. Like we really do experience flow more often than we think.
Mhm.
And again, the way you can recognize it, like looking back at the recent experiences. When was a recent time when you were so engaged in the present moment that you didn't even realize how quickly time flew by? So the goal here and being aligned with universal energy, living in the flow, like the goal here is not to be like 100 all the time. This is what I want. No. Mm, Being aligned with universal energy for me and living in the flow is really taking the pause and understanding all those signs around me, because there are always signs, right? And I know Yana, like we love it. At some point I was seeing so many like 1111, right? Like the numbers, and we've talked about this like with seeing the repeating numbers, like what is the universe telling me, right? And just really taking a little bit of time to listen, notice, like be aware, notice what's going on, and understanding what the message there. And one of the interesting things that actually I find it like call it coincidence, call it synchronicity, but after rereading the Magic book from the Secret series, I'm finally reading the next one, the fourth one, which is The Hero. And this morning, the chapter was about following your bliss.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, wow, such a perfect chapter, because ultimately this book talks about the fact that uh, we are all unicorns, and it's up to us to um, find this, like to really say yes to the call and go out there and shine our light brightly. And one of the things when it comes to aligning with universal flow is also following your bliss. Like when do you experience joy? Like what activities really bring you into flow. Like when you start doing something, you lose track of time, like you're so into the moment, bring you joy, bring you, and not just happiness, joy, right? Because we can be happy, have fun in different situations, but here we're talking about joy, like which is higher, like higher level, like energetically, it's level 6. So what are these things that allow you to experience bliss, and following these clues from the universe? Because um, this is one of the things where when I started reading the book, it's actually called The Hero, and it talks about the hero's journey. So when I started reading the book, she was saying in the beginning, she was saying how counterintuitive it is that a lot of times, like, we all want security, we all want stability and things like this, right? So that's why so many of us are caged and doing things we don't want to do, being in situations that we don't want to be in. And she was saying how counterintuitively, when you actually free yourself from this and you start following that calling within you, that you actually get the security you're looking for, and more, like you get even more. And I was thinking, it's not counterintuitive, actually. This is how the universe works. Because
Yep.
when we're not aligning with the universal flow, when we're not following our call, we live from the lower energy levels.
Yep.
Our predominant mindset, our predominant thinking and emotions, they are at the lower levels. They have that destructive catabolic energy, fear, worry, anxiety, frustration, anger. All these things are the way that we show up predominantly. And what does the universe do? This is what you want. Here you go. More situations that will stress you, more frustrations. This is what you ordered, right? And the moment when we let go of those stressors, the moment that we step into a one blissful thing, and I'm not saying quit your job and like to do like run away or something like this. What I'm saying is that the moment when we start spending even just a little bit of time on the things that bring us joy, the universe says, oh, let me give you a little bit more of this, and let me give you a little bit more of this. And when we get away from those stressors, we actually allow ourselves to be in that higher states, in the more creative anabolic energy levels, to be more joyful and in flow more of the time. And ultimately, this becomes our predominant mindset, our predominant way of being. And the universe is like, absolutely, here you go. More things to enjoy, more things to be happy about. So uh, it works like magic, and it is definitely like aligning. And this is why, like, what I was sharing is why I personally want to be more aligned with the universal energy. I personally want to be more in flow because it's of all these things. Because once I get to a level where my predominant energy, my predominant thinking is at this higher frequency, I know that things will be even better, things will be even more magical. And I'm really looking forward to what this year has in store for in this aspect. And I actually really love this topic with what's possible, right? It puts you in mindset of like what's possible. So yeah, back
Yeah,
to you,
no,
Yana.
I love the way that you started as well because when it comes to the word universe, we each live in our own universe, and yet we live in the universe where all the other human beings and creatures exist, whether we're aware of them or not. And some of these people were not aware of existing. It's like, how many neighbors do you actually know? You know that there's someone that lives in that house, but you don't actually know them. And yet they're living in their own world, in their own universe, and they have their own way of experiencing and feeling and understanding the world. one of the things that I kind of call it an exercise that helps me to focus more on myself and really become more detached from other people and their life and their emotions and their experiences. And doing what I do, it is important because when I didn't do that, every conversation I had with a woman, whether it was just a conversation or with the client or even with a prospect, it it was painful. It was very painful and it was taking me out of flow. So I'm saying these things because there's things that we all have in our lives that are like a stick in our bicycle wheel where we will fly off the flow and then we have to get that stick out, repair the vehicle, right? The bike, and get back on it, and then get back into the flow of things, get back into that place. And then when you do that enough times, when you experience enough of these sticks in your bike, the vehicle itself can break down. And I don't know if you've noticed by now, but you are that bicycle. You are that vehicle in your life that you unconsciously allow these external stressors to take your joy away from you. And it's unconscious because it is a program that you have received throughout your life. And most importantly, in the first 6 to 7 years of your life, and where everything that you have experienced, everything you have heard went into you unfiltered, completely unfiltered, because you were you as the you that you are today was not fully there. You were just slowly starting to wake up. And when it comes to like what I was talking about is the neighborhood, right? Thinking of people, even the person across the street, even my friend across the street, if I try to get into her mind of how she is living, how she's experiencing life, what her thoughts are, what her triggers are, and all those different things that what makes up a human being, it it can be very overwhelming. And often we don't even go there. What we do is we see this person, a friend, or a neighbor that you know or you don't know, a family member, someone who maybe crossed your mind and you're seeing something that maybe that they did that you are envious of, that you want to do. You have just sent them your energy and you took your joy away from you because now you're comparing your universe to their universe, which are different. Your world and their world is different. The point that I'm trying to make is make a list of all these drains that you currently are using, consciously or unconsciously. You are using tools that have been designed in that way to take your joy and your happiness and your flow away from you. And they have been given to you when you were little, when you weren't even aware of you accepting those tools and putting them in your tool belt. And then when you were growing up, when you were aware you were given tools, you questioned them, but you still accepted the truth that you thought it was, that this is what it is, this is how it is, that life is unfair, that things are unfair, that things don't work out in the way that you want to. But yet they actually do always work out in the way you want to. You just didn't know how you wanted them to work out, or you weren't clear about how they were going to work out. And then as you identify these tools that you are using that drain your energy, replace them with new ones. Replace them with better ones that will help you to stay focused on the only world, on the only universe that actually matters. and that is you and yourself. And forget everything and everyone else. Doesn't mean you actually forget them and you don't care for them and you have no empathy for them. That's absolutely not what it means. It just means that you shift your focus on you, and not that you're not going to care about other people, just care less. And those of you that are mothers, I know this is the hardest one, but you got to detach yourself from your kids. And you got to stop putting your worries and your fears onto your kids because they're not you. They're growing up in an entirely different world that we can only assume of how they're going to interpret and how they're going to experience it. But if they weren't aware that there was a monster in the toilet, then why would you tell them there's a monster in the toilet? Why would you put that fear into them? And that example is like, whoa, where did the monster in the toilet come from? It's one of the things that I learned, and I share it once in a while because it's a powerful reminder that of what fears do to us when our parents, when our friends, when our grandparents, when people outside of us shared something with us, and then we took it in consciously or unconsciously, and that became our fear. And it still happens, by the way. So you gotta stand guard, and you gotta protect your own peace, and you gotta protect your own flow, and you gotta protect yourself and decipher the information that is being given to you before you allow it in. Now, back to the toilet and the monster. When I was potty training our kids, one of the things someone shared with me was, don't tell your kids about the, I think it was someone shared or read a book, doesn't matter where I got that information, but I remember receiving this information that don't tell your kids that there's a monster in the toilet because they're not even aware that there's a monster in the toilet. And by you telling them, now they're going to be scared of the toilet and the monster in the toilet. Right? Because your child might not feel comfortable going on the toilet, and don't go and tell them, oh, don't worry, the monster's not gonna get you. Or when you put them to bed, don't tell them, oh, don't worry, there's no monsters under the bed or in your closet. And the kid goes, what? There's monsters underneath my bed or in my closet or in the toilet? I had no idea. Now they have this fear and now they can't sleep. Now they can't stay in their own bed and they're always coming into your bed. So this is what we do in some ways to our kids, but it comes from a place of we're doing it for them. We're trying to protect them. We're trying to keep them safe. And yet, the best thing that we can do is just throw them into the deep end. Let them live, sink or swim, and they will learn to swim, just as you did. Trust the people in your life that you're not responsible for their life. You're not responsible for their choices. You're not responsible for their decisions, whether they're your kids or not, that they're going to figure it out, that they have all the answers they need. The universe is there for them as well, just as it is for you. We're here reminding you to trust the universe, which really is you trust in yourself. Because if you don't trust yourself, you can't trust the universe. It, this is just how it works. So when you begin to trust yourself, you will notice that you also have trust in the universe. And you will notice how the universe speaks to you because it always has been and it always will. And it speaks to you in different ways. And only you can really decipher how it does. With me, it was numbers. And it's not always the same way. It's the numbers on, the time, or I see numbers when I'm driving, or I see feathers, or a specific shape of a rock, or a stick. Like the last time the universe spoke to me, and that I have on my desk, is this little piece of wood that actually, if you look at it, it looks like an eye, and it has a moss in the middle. Like, hello. Most of you know I love the moss and I love the wood, so it spoke to me in that way. And I have a green rock that perfectly fits right into here that looks like even a better of an eye, right? So, and to me, this is the third eye. That's the meaning of that piece of wood, and I didn't see it right away. I saw the wood with the moss inside. I'm like, oh my God, my two favorite things attached together. And I put it on my desk and I looked at it for a few days and then it clicked. So I know some of you might want to rush the process of deciphering what the universe is telling you, but you can't rush something that you're meant to go slowly through and feel and experience and flow through it. You can't rush the river. You can't rush winter, spring, summer, fall. You can't rush nature. And you are a big part of nature. You can't rush yourself through the seasons. So sometimes you just gotta slow down, take a breath, pause, meditate, be still, and calm your shit down. Honestly, like calm your nervous system down because you are in high alert and you're triggered and you're not feeling good. And when you're not feeling good, you can't see clearly, you can't make decisions, and you are so far from the flow, and yet you're right there at the edge of the flow. Often we also quit right before we succeed. It's because our body is not used to that success. So we quit before we succeed. But you keep going, you keep going. Trust that everything is happening for you and not to you. Every time you catch yourself thinking or saying or speaking out loud or inwardly that things are happening to you, catch your language, pay attention to your language. It's so important. Language, words, and emotions are magic spells. And you constantly casting magic spells. Consciously, unconsciously, you're still casting them. Now, what we do here in the group and through the programs that we create and offer to each and every one of you ladies is helping you reprogram your default program so that way you no longer have to feel like you're doing the hard work by catching your language of happening to me and for me. It becomes natural because you notice just how often throughout every day, in even those of you, or more like maybe even especially those of you who think and believe you're very positive. I used to think and believe I was so positive, and then I realized I was not. I was not, and that was a shock to me. I'm like, oh my God, I've been living a lie. I'm an imposter pretending, and yet I didn't believe I was an imposter until I woke up and realized what was happening. And little by little, I changed myself because the reality that I was living was not the reality that I wanted. And unconsciously, I figured out that if I was not living the reality that I wanted, what needed to change? It wasn't necessarily the external reality, it was my internal reality. And my internal reality is who I am, who I was. And luckily, I lost my identity, which meant, hey, I got to not only find my identity, but recreate it. And initially, I felt like this was the worst thing that happened to me. And yet, it's the best thing that could have ever happened for me, where I got to recreate my own identity, which changed my reality because our personalities creates our personal realities. And that's where now living in the flow, releasing the illusions of control, feeling like we are supposed to control everything instead of trusting the process and reminding ourselves that what we're actually doing is we are co-creating our life, our existence with the universe. because the universe always, always, always has our back, no matter what. So that's what I would add at this point. I know Anna probably has quite a few more things that came up for her to share with us. So let us hear it.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to mention, which actually aligns really well with what you were saying. So Rebecca says, so if I'm living in the flow, I'm following my heart and don't let fear hold me back, staying grounded and connected to my higher self.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no
Absolutely.
fear there at all.
Exactly. So when we're aligned with the universe, when we're experiencing like level 6 and 7, like there's no fear. So level 1 is heavy fear. Like if you think the level of fear on a scale from 1, like 0 actually, 0% to 100% afraid, right? Like level 1 is 100%, like fear is really heavy there. And as we move and see the world through the different lenses, as we experience other emotions and the thoughts and the feelings and everything, as we go up the levels, level 7, there's absolutely no fear. It's like it's zero fear, because ultimately this is one of the ideas that I also find it a little bit hard to grasp. At the same time, I feel like I understand it, but it's also a little bit hard to grasp, is that right now, in this moment, there's absolutely nothing to fear. Like right now, in this moment, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. There's absolutely nothing like this moment. And this actually aligns, Yana, with what you were saying, that our thoughts and our programming and like these are the things that keep us with the not just fear, right? Like it's also anxieties, worries, like all these catabolic energies. And I love what you're saying about the tools. So you already mentioned like replacing your old tools with new ones, and you already mentioned how like monitoring what you were saying, right? Like, our language shows what's really going on. And one of my favorite is we just finished writing this in the workbook for the imposter banishing quest. Have to, need to, want to, like choose to, right? Have to is like I have to do something, comes from an energy that's like I don't really want to do it, but you know, if I don't do it, I'll get fired or whatever it
Yeah,
is. Like
or
someone will
else.
judge me or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Need to energetically is more, it shows a little bit more buy-in that, you know what, yeah, I have a little bit more energy towards this thing, but it's still a little bit forced, right? Like it's still something that if I had a choice, I would not do this. And then choose to or get to do this. I want to do this. This is where like we really, yeah, like I get to do this. And uh, amazing too, like monitoring what you were saying and seeing like where is it coming from. And I wanted to mention, I really love the example you were giving when you were talking about how my universe is different from your universe and it's different from my neighbors. And um, one thing that I also credit the Secret Series book within the Magic. One of the things she was saying was that what you, with the example, you see someone like you see your neighbor who drives the car you want to drive. And our initial reaction, this stress reaction, right? The hardest one to break and the hardest one to reprogram is this bitch. Why is she
How
driving?
dare you, right? It's supposed to be mine.
And I love this, like catch yourself and be like, you know what? It's a sign from the universe. Thank you for showing me that it's out there. It's within my grasp.
That it's possible.
And she was also recommending in the book, she was also saying that the universe is giving us so many opportunities to be grateful. Now, gratitude starts level 4. This is where gratitude starts as resonating. But I again, I think of all the emotions and the feelings more on a different scale, depending on how much you experience it. And for me, gratitude starts at level 4.
Yeah.
And then at level 7, it's like 100% gratitude, right? Like it's so as a scale where it doesn't end at level 4. It's not that, oh, I feel grateful, I'm at level 4. For me, like all these emotions, they are at this different levels. So what she was saying is that this is one of the easiest ways. Like, speaking of new tools, this is one of the easiest ways to align with the universal energy and to get into flow, is use every single opportunity to be grateful. And examples, if you hear an ambulance, be grateful for your health. If you hear a police car, like, be grateful for living in a secure and safe place. If you see something that you want, whether it's your neighbor or someone else, you see your dream car, you see your dream house, you see something that you don't have yet but you want, be grateful. Be grateful for this thing existing and already being yours, right? Like, already being yours in a way. So this was actually the main thing that, as you were sharing, I'm like, oh, I really love this too, because there's so many things that remind us, like, just taking a sip of water. Be grateful that you have clean water, and you are well hydrated, and all these kind of things. So every single thing can be an opportunity for us to tap into gratitude, which, depending on how much we feel it, it can catapult us to flow, and being like, oh wow, it's such a magical universe, and everything works the way it is supposed to work, and get us out of a flunk. Even like, if you feel down, it could do. And again, like, I don't want to emphasize on the other part, but life is life, right? And it has everything. We live in a dual universe. So the physical universe we live in, it's dual. So we have the good and the bad, the like love and hate, all these kind of things. So what we're saying is that we'll experience this, and life wouldn't be life, wouldn't be the life it is without the sadness, without the frustration, without, like, those emotions are normal, and it's okay to experience them. There are moments when you want to cry. There are moments when you want to be angry with someone. It's life, and we choose how to play it. We choose how to play it, and every single emotion, every single feeling has its place. And being in flow and looking at, like, understanding the science of the universe allows us to really live life to the fullest, to really step into that hero, unicorn, like that really step into your power. And I know it can be scary, and I'm scared as well from time to time when I think about my next steps. But at the same time, I also know that it is what I'm supposed to do. It is like, I'm not supposed to live in fear. I'm actually supposed to live in love, and shine my light so others can follow, and others can take steps as well. And as I've mentioned, one of the things that really helps me is reading these books. Like, this is one of the things that every single morning, sometimes on the couch behind me, say hello, couch. And sometimes while I'm in the room that there are no monsters, I read a chapter. I read a chapter of a book that reminds me of how powerful I am, that I am a manifestation of the universe. And it helps me start the day without fear and without anxiety and worry, and just really tap into my power. So there's so many ways. And I know that, like, other people use meditation. Like, I do meditate, but guided meditations just for 10 minutes at most. I do journal as well, but like, the thing that really, really helps me remember who I am, like who I really am, is reading those books, these kind of books that remind me that those, I don't know if I should call them spiritual, but I guess in a way they're spiritual books that remind me of who I am, and allow me to start every single day with a higher level of energy.
I love those examples that you gave, especially when you were talking about the neighbor and the car. And we have seven ways of looking at that car in our neighbor's driveway. One is, oh, I can never get that car. And then Today we're talking about seven, and seeing it through the lens of level seven is, oh my God, I can't believe the universe is telling me I can get that car. Because if a neighbor can have it, I can have it. And now that it's in my realm of awareness, I can look at that car, and that could be my visualization, because then I can see it in my driveway. But just squinting the eyes and you're moving the car into your driveway, right? So we have a choice, a conscious choice or unconscious choice of how to interpret the external world. And it's not just one size fits all, it's you. And in some ways it is. Seven levels of energy, where that's one size fits all. We all have them. But it's you and your language that you want to use that makes sense to you, that inspires and motivates you and ignites that fire within, that you're recognizing these synchronicities and you're seeing and choosing the things that bring you joy. And if it doesn't bring you joy, then don't do it. Don't say yes to those things, because those things are going to be draining your joy, and it moves you further away from you, from your truth, from your reality, from your dreams, and from your desires. But if it brings you joy or bliss, like you were talking about, Anna, that word, that those are the things that are for you because they feel great and amazing. It doesn't mean that there's going to be things on that path that are not going to terrify you, petrify you, or make you in some way shit your pants. It definitely will mean that those things are going to be there, but those are also not obstacles. They're opportunities for you to grow and evolve and prove to yourself and prove to the universe and the you universe that you really truly want them, that you're willing whatever to do whatever it takes in order for you to live in this new truth, in this new reality, in this new realm, of this new existence. Because in order for you to live there, you cannot bring yourself there, because this version of you does not know what it takes to be there, to live there, and to keep it. You need to, and you're meant to grow to and evolve into a different person, maybe a little bit or maybe a lot, in order for you to get there and to stay there. Because once you know how you got there, no matter what happens, you can always get yourself right back there. Just like if you really start to understand love, and then when you're not really feeling love, by really truly understanding what love feels like and how you got there, how you got yourself to fall in love with yourself, with your life, then there's going to be things and opportunities for you to feel like you don't have it, but you've been there enough times, you know how you got there. And once you know how you got there, you can get yourself back there again. And you continue to get yourself back there again as many times as it takes, until you're no longer consciously getting yourself there, you just get yourself there. um and then also at the same time recognizing that if you are triggered by your neighbor's car, then maybe one of the things that you're being called to do and work on is your attachment to materialistic things, because those are the things that we do not get to bring with us into the next life. Those are the things that stay here. And if we start to look at everything in our life that we do and don't do as an investment into ourselves and into our life, choices become easier. Now, some people will see that car as an investment, while other people don't see it as an investment, because they know the moment that you know that sound when the car goes over the curb from the dealership and onto the road. That's a sound of $5,000 being taken off from the car. At least $5,000, 10,000, 20,000, depending on how much you paid for that car. That's that sound. Now, some people not, I don't want to put words of intelligent, not intelligent, but those are the words that come to mind that you're probably thinking as well. That some people will choose to buy a used car because they don't really need a big fancy car. They don't need an airplane to bring them from one place to another. Until maybe one day they do need an airplane, and then they invest in that airplane because they can and it saves them a lot of time, whatever the reasons behind this. But it's recognizing the attachment to materialistic things, an unhealthy attachment to materialistic things, and bouncing it off the board of, is this a smart investment? Or is this the investment that I want to make into myself? For some people, a brand spanking new car is the investment that is worth investing in for themselves and for their family. Everyone has their own different reasons why. I've bought new cars and, once. And then after that, I bought used cars because my husband is a car doctor, so I don't need to go and bring it to get it fixed. So, just honestly saying. So, why would I buy a new car when it just doesn't make sense? While for other people, it makes sense because not only is it maybe on their bucket list or maybe on their dream list, and this is something that it will recharge them, motivate them, inspire them, and ignite them, and feel like, yes, this is the sign that I got there. But then that doesn't mean that they're done. What's the next thing that they're going to do and acquire that will be a sign that they got there, right? So figuring out your blocks, I guess, is another word I would use in this process. And then you were talking about emotions. 1,000% agree that every emotion is there for a reason, and it really just reminds us we're human. How would you know what love is if you didn't experience sadness, grief, and sorrow? Those really, really, really help you to understand what love at its purest form is. And how would you know what peace is if there was no stress? You wouldn't really know. You would just be one music note, just monotone. And that's not really what human experience is all about. So, we talked a lot today about, aligning with universal energy, which is your energy, and living in the flow. Some of you are really starting to understand, some of you already understood, and you got some more additional information. But where I want to leave you is starting, like, how would you get yourself there? And it's really help getting yourself to shift from forcing things to allowing. Instead of pushing through life, practice receiving and trusting what comes. When you force things, eventually they're gonna break. It's it it's science, right? You force things enough, they're going to break. Even if I sit here with the pen long enough, maybe it'll be really hard initially because it's a really strong pen. Epic just sent me, so I'm really excited, so I won't break it. But if I do it long enough, a period of time, it will break. That's the beauty of force. And at the same time, under force, or more like under pressure, diamonds are made. And you get to choose what pressure you want to say yes to, because this is where you will grow and evolve and get to live in the life that you really want to. And then the next thing you got to do is detach from the outcomes. Let go of those rigid expectations that you have of yourself, for yourself, and for others in your life, and open yourself to the magic of the unknown, no matter how scary it might be. Open yourself to trusting the process, trusting the universe, and the magic that is within this bubble of unknown, because everything that's in there is actually amazing and incredible. You're really scared of who you think you're going to be when you tap into the unknown. And practice seeing everything as energy. And energy itself is an investment as well. So instead of getting caught in the emotions or the judgments, recognize that every experience is just an exchange of energy and the energy moving through you. And if you don't like this energy moving that you have within you, let it flow through you. Don't hold on to it. If you hold on to it, it'll stay. And then if it stays here longer than necessary, then you become that energy. And then remind yourself that you are limitless, and so are the possibilities. And the universe is always showing you what's possible. If if it is in your realm of awareness, it means that it's possible. If there were no limits, what would your life be like? How would you live your life? What would you already have? Well, how would you be already living your life? And when you start thinking that way, it feels good, right? Leaning into that energy and practice being in that energetic space more often of what's possible, not what was or sometimes what is, but what can be and what will be. Tap into that energy and continue to choose love over fear, because this is where you begin to realize that fear itself is an illusion, right? That fear I was just talking about in this unknown bubble. You're fearing the scariest monster that someone told you is in there. And then when the bubble disappears and you see what's inside, you really recognize, like, oh my God, this is everything that I ever wanted. Why was I scared of everything I ever wanted? Because some idiot told you and shared their fears with you, and you unconsciously believed them and you took it up as your own truth. And now you have the fear of unknown and you probably don't even know where you got it from. Right? And then practice presence, practice being present in the moment, in the now. And yes, it's great to visualize the future and what will be, but you're not fully here present in the present moment. Like, and I was talking about, this is where you get to practice gratitude in the now, being grateful for the water, for this microphone that keeps flipping, right? Being grateful for all these different things, for these devices, for the roof that not leaking, for the heat in the house that's keeping you warm, for whatever house you're living in, right? For having protection and no longer living in a cave. And if you're living in a cave, invite me. I'd like to live in a cave for a little bit. That would be fun. But other than that, when you're in flow, you experience ease, creativity, synchronicity. You feel fulfilled and you feel connected, really, really deeply connected to your purpose. Even if you don't fully know what your purpose is, you feel a connection to that unknown of what your purpose is. And you move through life with joy, with playfulness, with lightheartedness, and you realize that struggle is a choice and that you can choose something else instead. So that's how I would end. Anna, what are your parting thoughts?
My parting thought is that we live in a world that doesn't enable us to tap into the universal energy. It doesn't help us be in flow, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to see it and however we want to see it. The world right now resonates at average level of 2.
Sometimes one, but yeah, 1 and 2.
So yeah, so it's up to us to give ourselves, even just if it's just like 5 minutes a day, and I highly recommend the morning, to set ourselves up for success in a way, to allow ourselves, give ourselves that uh, power, that advantage of aligning with the universe, of getting into flow. So um, it's not easy. Like, it's not easy because of everything that surrounds us. That's why the way I want to conclude today's conversation is encouraging you to be proactive about aligning, about being in flow, tapping into those higher energy levels, to give yourself the space and time to be the light that others need to see, to be someone who starts the day in a way that others say, oh, I want to be like her. How can I be like her? Look at her. I want to enter a room and shine brightly. So and we're all unicorns. As I said, we're all unicorns. We are all meant to shine, and we're all meant to share our gifts. So give yourself a little bit of time in the morning to step into this, to step into flow, to step into the universal power.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way. Be that light, that guiding light and reminder of what's possible for others in your life and even those that you're not even aware of. When you walk into even a grocery store, people can feel energy. Most are unconscious about that energy exchange, while you are quite conscious of it. And you can choose the energy that you embody at any given point in time. Yes, sometimes there's going to be invaders, the invading energy, but if it doesn't feel good, doesn't bring you joy, then take the steps that work for you to realign with that energy and that emotional state that you desire most. Just remember what it felt like in the past, and that's how you can use your past in the present. Is the last time you felt joy, what did I feel like? Where did you feel it? What were you thinking of? Bring that into the now. Feel that emotional and energetic space and state, and you'll have more and more and more of that. But if you're constantly complaining, you'll be given more opportunities to complain. That's just how the universe works. And I'm pretty sure there are different laws that have names to them. I believe there's a Murphy's Law, and there's a couple of other ones, Law of Attraction as well, that prove this whole entire conversation that we've had today. So if you want more proof and evidence, look into those realms, into those rabbit holes, and then come back and tell us your findings. Otherwise, thank you, everybody, for being on here with us live. I saw there was Rebecca and Bonnie were on here with us live, and the rest of you who are going to be watching on replay or the new group members, hello and welcome. We would love to see you live, and if not, we'd love to see you on the replay, and you can interact with this video just as if you were watching it live, and it will show through as live comments as well. And as always, we love to hear what was your biggest takeaway from today's conversation about aligning with universal energy and living in the flow. And then once you have that awareness of what was your biggest takeaway, that aha moment, the second important part is taking action. So, what are you going to do with this newfound knowledge or awareness? Learn, apply. Very important. That's the only equation that we'll continue to share with you all here. So, apply that equation into your life. You learn something, you go apply it, and then watch the magic happen, little by little every day. That's it. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you all next week at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time, back here in this group, live with a new topic. Until next time, have an amazing rest of your day, everybody. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Anna, for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye.